Hi, friends. Entrainment, huh? So, how to get onto trains to travel to distant locales?
Actually, that I find that topic kind of interesting, actually.
Yeah, we've never traveled much by train, have we?
uh, well, I traveled by train in Australia, but I'm talking about people who actually jump on trains and go
Oh,
from place to
yeah,
place.
that's so cool.
Yeah.
Still, that is not what we're talking about, although that would be awesome, wouldn't it?
We could do some kind of documentary on that. That would be great. Except for I'm not set up to do that. But I'd love to learn more about it.
Entrainment, this is often used, it's a scientific term, and then it's used in some branches of herbalism when people talk about connecting with a plant on a deeper level, sometimes kind of a psychic intuitive level. But we're going to take this and apply this term to our everyday life, right?
Yeah, I think it's something that we could stand to have in our conscious awareness that might make a difference for just everyday living.
Join us today as we talk about the mysteries of entrainment.
Oh, careful. Last time we talked about occult things, so everything started to go dark.
That's right.
Yeah,
Remember
maybe not for them, but for us.
that? So, entrainment is not necessarily something mystical or strange. In fact, this falls into the category of one of the things that's happening all the time in our psyche, but that our culture never teaches us about. And so, thus, we never really know it's operating, and it operates on autopilot and thus gets to take us for a ride.
You know, we say that a lot.
Because
Autopilot.
autopilot,
If
we do. And
I could just have $5 every time we said that.
I think it's actually a really useful term, and it's an important term because that is one of the essential things we've always been trying to share on this channel is that there's there's these things happening and we don't realize it's happening, then they have power over us. And
Yes.
so, but we have to make sure we're not autopilot on talking about autopilot.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so entrainment. Let's talk about what we actually mean when we say that.
The idea of entrainment is that energetically, two things start to line up. Now, this can happen in music. So you can have, well, I think a good example is you can have a singing bowl, one of those Tibetan singing
Oh,
bowls.
yeah.
And if you play a certain note on your guitar next to it, or sometimes even if you just sing or hum a
Oh.
certain note, then it will pick up the vibrations of that and it will
Mm.
start to sing back essentially.
Sort of resonate
Yeah,
in a way.
yeah. And so there's all kinds of places that this is happening in our lives. I mean, a basic one is just with emotions, right?
Mm.
I come into the house, Becca, I had a terrible day and I'm so upset. And this happens about every other day
That
with
actually
us.
sounds kind of advanced for you to recognize that you had a terrible day. Because I
Oh,
think usually what happens is someone
you're
storms
right.
into the
Sorry.
house and like, "What, Ben? You never picked this up from the store, and how come you left the toilet seat up?" And you know,
Yes, yes, so right. And then what happens to the other person? We can tend to start to entrain with that energy.
oh, we've probably all experienced that before. And actually, this happens to me a lot, and I don't even recognize it.
Mm.
It's more challenging with subtle emotions, especially when you start thinking about if someone is sad or if someone seems very quiet. And then maybe you're one of those people that starts to wonder, oh, is something wrong? And you start to try to figure things out and maybe try to fix things because perhaps you are picking up on their energy levels.
Yeah, this is sometimes we think this is just the province of sensitive people, but it really happens to all of us.
Yeah.
This is a big part of martial arts training is we have to train to be able to stay calm and be present when something very conflict oriented is coming in. Someone shouting you, spitting in your face, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
If we spaz out and go to their level energetically, emotionally, then all of our techniques are basically thrown out the window, and if
Right.
something happens, we're just going to be going like this, and they're going to be going like this.
Oh, yeah.
Like we do with the girls. Should we show them our secret martial arts?
Yeah,
We do with the
ready?
girls. Go.
Okay.
Super advanced skills, you guys. Don't try that with
Takes
anybody.
at least 8 years to be able to go to that level.
Yeah. So yeah, don't try that without proper instruction.
So essentially, what you're trying to say, I'm just going to paraphrase a little, is that we all have different energy levels coming at us or that we're interacting with on a regular basis, a daily basis. And we often don't realize that we are allowing the energy levels of other people to influence how we feel.
Yes.
Okay.
We all should have been taught this in fourth grade.
Why not second?
Yeah, maybe second grade even. Because it's a concept.
Sure.
This idea that when somebody comes into your sensory experience,
Mm-hmm.
your perceptual experience, it is likely, unless you're aware of how this works, that you will start to entrain with that energy. If we would know this, we would maybe be less subject to, for instance, panic.
Mm.
What happens in a store or when somebody yells fire, right? The movie theater and the fire. Or we
Mm-hmm.
have these tragedies that happen at sport events when people start to panic
Yeah.
and it spreads. Just boom. This entrainment goes one person to
Well,
one person to
fear
one
is
person.
very catching.
Oh yeah.
Probably more catching than the common cold.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
Yeah,
fear's big.
it is.
And that I mean, when we understand this, that this works, then we can start to not be ruled by it anymore. Because we can start to, well, first of all, be aware of some of those things that are coming in to our
Yeah,
senses.
I am such an advocate of just paying attention, just noticing,
Mm.
not even committing to, I'm going to try to change what happens, but simply saying, okay, for a whole day, I'm going to notice the energy patterns. Oh, yeah, thanks. That are I'm encountering, that are coming into my awareness. And what are they? Where are they coming from? Oh, how do I feel? And I don't have to go, oh, darn, I got upset because so and so got upset. If that's there, just notice it. Sorry, you're on my hair. And then that gives us a chance to get practiced in that. From the noticing, then we start to get opportunities to make different choices about what we want to do with that energy.
Yeah, the power of awareness. And I feel like in our world, that's not really thought of as very powerful. But
Mm.
if you start exploring mindfulness, you'll find that just the awareness of something
Mm-hmm.
is so powerful and has an ability to sometimes stop something like anger or panic in a way that trying to force that emotion away
Mm-hmm.
doesn't. And so that awareness, if we can start to develop that, that's key. On some ways, it's pretty superficial. What you watch on the news,
Mm.
heard us talk about this 1,000 times, harp on it. What you watch on the news is going to affect your mentality. If there's fear being spouted over and over and
Mm.
over, that's going to start to lodge into you. I mean, this is basically a fact about psychology. If we hear that same message over and
Yeah.
over and over, it gets grilled into
Yeah.
us.
Well, and I think if you look at it, I mean, how do we learn when we're little? We learn by watching, and what we see, we do. And so that's just another basic human function is as we take in things more and more, that's going to be the diet, whether it's for our bodies or it's for our minds or our emotions. And a lot of times as we see things happening, oh, everybody else is afraid and they're running. That's so innate in us. Do what other people do.
That's the first step, I think.
Okay.
Being aware of the stuff that's incoming. And as we said, that superficial stuff, it's fairly easy, though it's very addictive. It's fairly easy to monitor and say, oh, yes, I'm sitting and I'm watching whatever
Right.
thing every night. And
Yeah. Or I'm on social media and
oh,
these
yes.
few people are always harassing me, or the group of friends that I'm with is always talking about this and how bad it is, or we can kind of feel inside of us the places that feel there's a certain feeling, a quality to that energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then we also have to start noticing more subtle ways that these energies come into our life.
Oh gosh.
And a big one is just with other people.
Mm.
So the people we surround ourselves and we interact with are going to bring energies into our life.
Yeah.
And again, when I say energies, I'm talking about emotions, I'm talking about body language, all kinds of things that we intake with our senses and that then can affect how our attitude and our thoughts and our even what brain chemicals are going to go off in our brain as a reaction. I was going to say response, but actually as a
Mm-hmm.
reaction to those inputs.
Mm-hmm.
And it gets even more subtle.
More subtle.
Yeah, because also so much of it is about not just the external world, but the internal world.
Oh boy,
And
the
we'll have to talk more
toughest.
about this at the end,
The
but
final frontier.
yeah.
For real.
But that's a huge step in all of our emotional evolution when we realize when somebody comes in and they have all this energy, we have a choice of how we interpret that input and how we respond to it. But yeah, let's get to that
Okay, so can you
end.
remember that?
Yeah,
Okay, I
definitely.
wanted to say something that's sort of the opposite of this,
Mm.
which is to realize that if other people are able to bring their energy to a situation and influence us, then we also are able
Yes.
to, with our energy, influence things. And that means that we have a choice of how we want to be in the world. And we also have a responsibility not to just spit out our energy all over people without thinking about the fact that it influences people.
I won't have to come back to it because that's the essence of
Oh, okay. Wow.
it. Is here we live in this world. All this stuff comes in, and we start to recognize with awareness that it takes us for all these rides.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually we see that, and we hopefully say, maybe I don't have to be taken for a ride
Yeah.
anymore. And that first step is that I can start to see that anger, let's say, and maintain a calm within myself when that input is coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And there's all kinds of fun ways we can practice this. So, you know, I love mindfulness explorations. And so sometimes I will watch some fear or anxiety inducing things for me on YouTube, for instance, and then try to shift and change that. Sometimes it overwhelms me and it takes me over. Other times I can navigate it more effectively. So we can build this ability to maintain our inner composure over time and over practice. Then there's a superpower of
What?
going and doing exactly what you said, which is not only to be able to maintain our composure when that spastic energy is coming in, for instance, but to start to shift that spastic energy
Mm.
with the sheer potency of our own energy. And that's where entrainment is really an, an inner growth, a movement from just being a reactive being to being a responsive being. We'll have to explain what we mean by the difference.
Mm-hmm.
To being a being that is actively shifting the energies that are around us. Does that make sense? So
Oh,
kind of these
yeah,
three steps.
absolutely. Absolutely. So reacting, that's like your initial pop-up window. Wah, wah. And it's the one that's really showy and says, "Look at me. This is the thing. Oh my gosh, respond," or and it's not necessarily high energy like that.
React.
Yeah.
Yeah.
React. Sorry, I said respond. It's really difficult to make
Oh, it
a
is. Yeah.
distinction. React. Because we think we're responding. That's probably why it's difficult.
Yes, we
Because
do,
our
don't we?
little ego mind is like, oh no, I'm responding to this. Which is definitely probably not the
I have
case.
a right to be angry
Right.
here and throw this plate at.
Right. If I'm not outraged, I'm not paying attention. So at any rate, but I just wanted to point out that it isn't always an anger thing. Energy can be low energy, sad energy, depressed energy, apathetic energy. There's all sorts of energy levels that kind of begin to bring us kind of down, and they goo us up. And so the reaction part is that first, like, you should join that, or oh well, gosh, they're down and I was so happy, but why can't they be happy today? Because today's my birthday, or whatever. We have quote our reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Response.
Responding.
Now that input's coming in, and we might feel the reaction come up, but we're stopping. Whatever our technique is, we're, let's say, going to stop, take a breath, and say, I have a choice in how I'm going to interpret what's happening. Is this person just being mean to me, or did their cat die this morning and now they dropped their tea on the ground and they're just losing it, and all they need is an arm on their shoulder and they're going to be able to win out. So now I can respond, and it's just stopping and observing.
Yeah, I mean, responding is what you do to an invitation. So you could almost see what this person's energy is an invitation. And how are you going to join them? You don't have to react. You now get to respond. Yes, I will join in. No, I think I'm going to refrain. And that's the juncture at which you have a chance to decide on the third action, which is essentially, what do you want to create? What way will you choose to take your own energy and put it into the situation?
I feel like our relationship has gone through these stages. So there was a time we were very reactive to each other, and it was hard because because one of us, being human beings, we'd get down, we'd get upset, whatever it would be, and then the other person would inevitably kind of just be pulled onto that level.
Yeah.
And it would create, I remember nights just staying up angry or sad or frustrated, or why aren't you like listening to me, or all this inner agony that came out of just being in that reactive mode. Then we started to respond to each other, just be wise enough to stop and question those reactions. But now more and more, I feel like we're aware that the energy that I or you bring into the situation is formative. Not just between you and I, but you and me, you and I. You and I, depends on what I'm going to say afterwards.
Right. Yeah. Well, right. Between me, like, because you wouldn't say between I. Oh my gosh, let's not go into this right now. This is not a grammar channel.
But we see it happen with our girls.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Yes. And if you have children, this is a perfect place to practice this whole art of entrainment, because you will have so many chances to react to your child's energies. And then we can learn to respond, and eventually we can start to see, wow, I can switch things around just by using a different tone of voice, by using eye contact, by just emitting a sense of love or compassion. So powerful to change those negative kinds of feelings.
Yeah. I have two things to say. Okay, the first is seriousness, but there was another one, and I don't want to forget it, because you were talking about, you can see it in children. Oh man, why do I always forget? Because I have one thought, I'm like, oh, I gotta say that, and then
I know.
Oh well. Anyway,
these unscripted things.
I know. I kind of
that's how it is.
Oh yeah, too bad. So I feel like one thing that helps me is when someone else is coming in with an energy that I'm tempted to react to or even participate in, that if I cannot be serious about it, even though they may be serious about it, if I cannot be serious about it, which isn't to say I'm going to invalidate them. Okay, I know for them it's serious, but if it isn't serious for me, it changes everything. I don't have to get pulled into it. I can remain on a I don't know, a peaceful level, even a playful level, where I've seen, because you brought up the girls, I've seen where our girls have been frustrated or been upset, and all it takes is a remark from you or me or whoever, one of the other girls who isn't upset, that's kind of playful or whatever, and you'll see the other one just kind of go, oh, why am I taking this so seriously? Or, oh, that's such a silly point. And we're suddenly reminded that we don't have to be trapped by our own energy, because that can happen too. We have ruts that we go into that our brain emotionally takes us on. And sometimes it will happen so quickly. The pattern is just from here to here so fast
Yeah.
that we don't even realize it's happened. And we need to start having awareness of that as well in order to really blossom in this entire energetic thing, because we are responsible for our own energy. But I know for my own living, I have thoughts that are really challenging. I've had low self-esteem before. I'm still a recovering perfectionist, and there are thoughts that I have that I need to be aware that I'm going into that thought pattern. And when I am, it's very useful because I don't have to take it seriously, and I can go, aha, this is happening. I don't have to react. How do I want to create my energy? I actually have a choice.
I'm glad you talk about that responsibility. And that can be a tricky ground because sometimes our brains just take us for rides, it's chemically or whatever it is,
Mm.
that when someone says you're responsible for your emotions, that can actually sort of backfire and make things worse for us. But if we can have this gentle responsibility, if we can say, man, I am super, super down today. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like my depression's just starting to come on to me. And you give yourself a break and say, that's okay. I understand that. Just giving yourself that break puts you into a little bit more of a situation of responsibility because you're not just pushing back against it. There's not just that energy, mental
Mm-hmm.
energy used for that, but we're giving ourselves some compassion. And out of that compassion often blossoms a hidden strength. And we have a chance to look at that and go, okay, wow, yeah, I can feel this depression. I know this has a big impact on me and the people around me. And I wonder if there's some ways that I might be able to wiggle this and play with this a little bit differently this time.
Yeah. Transforming our energy. It's almost a whole different video.
Yeah.
Because there are lots of tools, and that's something that you have to build over time as a toolbox filled with your own personal tools for how to shift the energy that you are experiencing. But of course, we know the things that will help us: meditation, laughter, exercise, good food, being with others. I mean, there's an endless list, and then we each have our own personal things. So
Kind of fill us up and give us that
yeah, so it's
strength.
important when we recognize that. And okay, so here's the thing I want to talk about that
Okay.
is a broader, different thing that we haven't even really talked about in terms of this. So I'm just bringing this on you. But you mentioned, hey, if I notice I'm down, and we all go up and down, but we often don't give ourselves a break. As you were saying,
Mm.
give yourself a break. We also entrain with our society's or our culture's energy level. And for me, a lot of times, not where I live and not with the people that I'm around, but with kind of what our collective illusion idea is of our culture, is that everything's going very fast and you have to be on all the time, and you won't be 100% successful if you're not keeping up and if you're not doing all the things, and if you decide to say no to things and just take some time for yourself, then you are not participating in society's cultural norm. And I think we have to be aware of that too. You don't have to be on social media. You don't have to own a cell phone. You don't have to own a car. You don't have to do all the things that a whole bunch of other people are doing. And recognizing that that is a powerful force that can lead us to feeling rushed,
Mm.
even when we aren't rushed, even when I feel it. We have a very peaceful life. We are very lucky. We have built over many years the ability to do things kind of on our own time frame. And I still sometimes find myself feeling as though my day has been minced up. And that's sometimes because I feel like I need to rush around and I need to answer this email and I need to respond to this text and I better get this done and that done because of this kind of entrainment with this busy idea that I should be busy all the time.
Ah, that cultural upbringing, that cultural training, essentially, that we receive. I was coaching somebody just the other day, and we had a pretty big conversation about this and
Mm,
going into how these, I can't say much, but these societal norms, these ideas of just how we're supposed to be,
yeah,
had really influenced this person to bring them into a tough place.
yeah.
So, boy, I had to be vague there. But I'm doing my coaching again.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
yeah, so check out in the description inner nature coaching. So, not just what you think of as traditional life coaching, but can incorporate fitness, nature connection, learning foraging, all kinds of things. So, check that out. Uh, I was thinking that there is a technique that I've used in the past, and this is totally not like us because I'm telling you to watch a screen.
Oh,
But
gosh, really?
yeah, but this is kind of a safe way and a fairly gentle way to practice that third step
Mm,
of the entrainment process of, well, actually, no, it's more the second step, the response step.
okay.
And this is difficult to do, I'm going to say, when we have a spouse that comes home angry from work, let's say a few days a week, and we're going to try
Mm,
to practice this. Wow, up against that anger. It has that habitual mind path in it,
mm-hmm.
and we can start to feel like we'll never make progress. But movies can secretly give us a place where we can practice this.
Oh my gosh, Kenton Whitman of ReWild University just said movies are something you should watch.
Watch movies.
Okay, total carte blanche. You can go ahead and watch as many movies as you
No,
want.
no,
Okay,
that's not what
okay.
I'm saying.
Okay, tell us.
Here's okay example. We were watching me and Mirabelle.
Mirabelle and I.
Mirabelle,
Because you would say I was watching, not me was watching.
me watching Lord of Rings with Mirabelle,
Okay.
and as me was watching this,
Oh, Kenton,
I
please.
okay, okay. I was watching this grammar police here. There's a scene in one of those movies.
Mirabelle and me. We're watching. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
There's a scene in one of these movies that is really kind of disturbing to me. I don't like it very much. And I wanted to just skip over that scene when Mirabelle and I were watching it. But she didn't seem like she would be impacted by it. And this was a chance for me to stop. And she said, actually, she helped me with it. She said, Dad, just think of it as the actors. They're just playing the thing. You know, no one's actually getting hurt here. Nothing bad is happening.
Mm.
And then I could watch that scene and I could go, wow, that was good acting. Hey, good job there. That was convincing. And that's very much the same thing we do when that example of
Mm-hmm.
a person that's angry and kind of unleashing on us. We have the ability to reframe that, to look at that differently.
Yeah.
When we do, it changes our whole feeling about it.
Mm-hmm.
So movies are designed to take us on emotional roller coasters. So almost any movie that you watch will try to make you laugh or cry or be fearful or feel anxious or if you're suspenseful or tense. And when you can feel those feelings start to come, you can just be aware of them. Oh, okay, this is working. I'm starting to get tense
Yeah.
and suspensey. And then see if you can look at it differently. You kind of pull the rug out from under the magic of the movie, but we're doing this consciously
Mm-hmm.
and we're teaching our brain whenever we do this. I don't have to be taken for a ride.
Mm-hmm.
So movies are this easy, safe way to practice this.
But try to limit your screen time.
Well, actually,
You're gonna watch a
we're now
movie tonight?
affiliates for Netflix.
Oh
So if you
god.
hit the and then watch as many movies as you can.
Okay, okay. So here's something that you made me think of, which is I, I, I love you. You're so hilarious. I can, what's the word I'm trying to say? I can relate to that because a lot of times, okay, so we talked about sensitive people. I would categorize myself as a highly sensitive person. I'm just kidding.
No,
No, I mean,
that's true.
I mean, I am a highly
You would
sensitive
qualify.
person. I would say I am kind of, you know, people say empathic, and I struggle with taking on other people's feelings. So maybe some of you out there feel that, and maybe you don't even know that you're doing it. And I feel like it's a thing that can happen, though you don't have to be afraid of it. It's just good to know, okay, this is something I'm more attuned, essentially, in a way, is what you are, is more attuned to other people's body language and their emotions, and who knows, maybe there's pheromones or whatever else, who knows. So I have really had to try to separate myself and seeing someone as a character in my
Mm.
life. Okay, I am, and sometimes you can even do what would be called sort of Rebeccaization for me, where Rebecca is standing here and she is speaking with Mirabelle. Mirabelle is Rebecca's daughter. And Mirabelle is expressing this. Rebecca is starting to feel uncomfortable. And if you take yourself into a third person, you can start to become a character and you can think, okay, the character Rebecca has a chance to respond. How will Rebecca respond to her daughter Mirabelle? And just doing that a little bit helps me to not take it so seriously and helps me realize, okay, energy is flowing back and forth here. And so that's very useful. But what really helps me when I can separate myself like that is A, the playfulness, but B, is to go, I've felt like that before.
Mm.
And so I think a lot of times being empathetic or sympathetic and saying, why am I mad at this person? Or why am I getting upset or sad when I have been hundreds of times in similar situations? And sometimes that can allow us to have compassion. And compassion makes it a lot easier to, what I would call, bear witness to someone else. These are kind of, I would call these higher level or more subtle, complicated things. So, start with awareness and then build on that. But when you feel you're ready, having compassion for someone else,
Mm.
it's a big gift, because then you suddenly aren't invested in the same way. Who you are and how valuable you are and how awesome you are doesn't have anything to do with this other person and what they think of you. They can be telling you you're a terrible person. And this is not, I'm not talking about abusive situations or anything like that. I'm not talking about mind games. I'm just talking about people you love who are having a hard time. And what's really neat about that is that it it's so great to help somebody else. I've been there because I have been out of my mind sometimes very recently, just with depression that I haven't ever experienced before. A lot of it is just hormonal, and it will come and it will go, and I'm starting to feel crazy, and I will have Kenton or the girls just be beautiful witnesses to me, where they understand and they say, hey, it's okay, you're not ruining our day, you have your feelings, tell us what we can do. And they're kind of bearing witness to me carries me through and allows me sort of to heal my own energy level there.
Mm.
And it's a really special thing you can do with your own energy once you feel comfortable with that third level.
Yeah. And I think that's the ultimate fruit of this is as we get into that third level and we can start to change the energies of the people around us, we develop these habits of energy
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
over time. And so if you've been into houses where the family just has anger and fire,
Yeah.
or you probably been in houses where you go in and there's just a joy that seems to
Mm.
permeate the air. And we can become conscious of what we're crafting
Mm-hmm.
and what we're crafting in others. Every time we shift somebody else's emotional state a little bit, we're helping them to burn a pathway
Yeah.
in that direction. And becoming conscious about this, just like becoming conscious about almost anything in life, it's honestly transformative in the way that we experience day to day living in such a nice way.
That makes me think. Let's take the angry person example. If if a person comes and is giving you that energy of anger and you don't respond in anger, you model for them a different choice. And you talked about pathways that we create. We have a lot of pathways that are created for us before we're even old enough to know that they happen. But the beautiful thing is that all of the pathways are pathways we can change because we are training our brain all the time and we get a choice. So every time there's an energy that's coming in and we notice it, we have a choice to change the pathway. We can say, hey, here's this energy. What pathway do I want to burn for myself now? And also, again, as I said, what pathway can I then show the other person is available? And that's not to say they must take that pathway, but if you respond to anger with anger, there's no other open doorway. Oh, and I know the other thing.
Oh, you
I remembered.
hey.
It doesn't matter how far down a path you have gone, you can change it at any point in time. If you are in a conversation with that spouse that's come home and they're angry all the time and you respond, blah, and then you go, oh, wait, I'm doing it, you can stop and you can just try again. As many times as you want, you can change it no matter how far down the road you are. I'm saying it can happen. And you got to be patient and sometimes persistent, but it's totally possible.
We hope you are feeling inspired to bring this idea of entrainment into your life and to start to try to consciously move from reaction to response to transformation. And we'd like to urge you to be patient with it. Like anything else, where we're changing mindset, we're changing our body, it takes time. And that can be months or years. So if you jump onto this and you're hoping to have a complete transformation tomorrow in yourself and in your family, give it a little more time. But these things do bear fruit if we stick with them.
Yeah, and sometimes faster than you think.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
say so.
Speaking of energy, we are sending you lots of awesome energy. Also, I don't know, but I'm really cold and my teeth are almost chattering. It looks really
It's
nice
time.
out, but it's really cold.
It's cold.
And so maybe you also sense that energy, like my mouth is doing.
Oh.
But we want to hear from you. I want you to share with us. Do I get to tell them about exciting stuff happening yet or not?
I don't think so.
Well, it's coming though.
Yeah.
Can I say anything or not yet?
Yeah, sure, you can
Okay.
hint away. We'll have an official video on
I
this.
can't
No,
actually.
go ahead.
Okay. So, because I was gonna say, tell us your experiences and such, and then I was gonna say, we're gonna have a chat room where that can happen soon because we've been working on what is it called?
Discord.
I'm so non-techie. So we're trying to start a place for ReWild University where we can all get together and talk about these things, not just with you, with us, but all of us with each other and with different people. And so I'm really excited about it. And I wanted to say, go there and we can talk about this, but you can't go there quite yet.
Well, in a way, you can get on board even before it's happening.
Oh, okay.
So Patreon always before has been a paywall. You only can, you have to pay to be a patron of ours. But they have changed that over. So now there are totally free memberships. So if you go and you become a free patron, I mean, become a paid patron if you want to.
But, we will not complain.
But become a free patron, and then you will be hearing about this very directly. We'll be doing videos here, but the advantage of Patreon basically is we're escaping the algorithm, right? When you come and you're trying to find one of our videos, you may or may not be delivered it. based on
I want a t-shirt that says that.
what
I've escaped the algorithm.
what YouTube is going to try to deliver to you. And if you go to Patreon, you're going to get a direct notification whenever we create something.
Okay. You can't do the video for it right now, though.
Yeah,
So
no. I'll go in more
okay.
depth.
Okay.
But if you go there, then you'll hear about this tie-in with Discord that we're creating. If Discord sounds scary, it doesn't have to be. We'll guide you
It
through
should
it.
really be called Harmony, but you know.
Yeah, I don't know why it's not. We'll call it Harmony. This place where we can all sit down and there's text chat. We're still just learning about it. So this is going to be maybe after the holidays.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, after the holidays. I think there's voice and video capability to talk to each other. Anyway,
you're going on and
sign
on
up
now.
for our Patreon, and we'll tell you more as it comes out. Should I give a few more details?
No. In the meantime, you can use the comments as you have always in the past and just share with us your thoughts or experiences you've had. And also it could be experiences you've had in training with plants or animals or stones or other things like that. I'm not gonna laugh. I have lots of really cool rocks that I love. So we better stop now. At least I said that grammatically correctly.
Oh, you.
Me have lots of rocks I love.
Oh, you.
Okay, we love you all. Thank you so much for joining us.
We'll talk with you in the comments.